every Christmas season, we put this very Advent wall calendar up, and as a family, we go through a name and title of Jesus every single day. And today, what we're actually going to be talking about is one of the days, which is awesome.
He's so
And
awesome.
it's talking about the awesome nature of God. And before we read a verse, awesome, it restores our perspective and it rekindles awe when we understand
Mm.
what does awesome truly mean.
Yeah.
Um, Really, what it is it's something that is extremely impressive or daunting. There's this, and we're talking about the awesomeness of the Lord, there's a trembling joy of realizing like
Mm.
He's infinitely great. And so when we're talking about being being awestruck in His awesomeness and being filled with wonder, this isn't something that we like can summon up,
Mm-hmm.
and this isn't something we can stir up. Instead, it's responding to the revelation of His awesomeness.
Yeah.
And this one can feel a little weird because normally we say everything's awesome.
Yeah, I was just thinking about
Pizza's awesome, Star Wars is awesome, whatever is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And a friend of ours actually, for him and his family, said like we only say that about the Lord.
Mm.
And for some that may be like, wow, that's legalistic, but he's like, no, we need to make sure we use words appropriately, and
Mm-hmm.
we're only going to say that the Lord is awesome. um, but would you read Psalm 68:35, where we are pulling this from?
Mm-hmm. Oh God, you are more awesome than your holy places. The God of Israel is he who gives strength and power to his people. Blessed be God.
So before we hear some of your thoughts on this, when we're thinking about all the places in the Old Testament that the people would meet with God and they would worship, and the beauty of some of these places and just the exclusivity of them, the psalmist is saying, like, you're better than all of the things. You're better than all
Yes.
of the places we can
Yes.
meet with you. Like, those are actually vehicles and signs that point to you,
Mm-hmm.
and you are far better than them.
Mm-hmm.
And really what this happens, and if you would talk about this, like Psalm 68, it's linked to 2 Samuel 6 when the Ark of the Covenant is brought back into Jerusalem. And so why don't you talk about that and like just how David responds to the awesomeness of God and His greatness?
Yeah, David. I mean, we have a lot of amazing examples of David. We have some not so great examples as well, but there's a lot of examples of David beholding the Lord and then responding to his glory, responding to his awesomeness. If that's even a word,
Mm-hmm.
awesomeness. Okay, cool. But in 2 Samuel 6, Israel's enemies were defeated and the presence of God had returned. So we have to understand the context of this. The ark was taken and they hadn't had it. They went to go try to get it. They messed up, left it with a Gentile, and then this Gentile's getting blessed. And then David's like, man, we really need, like, God's presence belongs with us, with his people. And so they go on this journey back out again to try and do it the right way to get his presence, not their way. So as his God's presence, this Ark of the Covenant is coming back in, there's a joyful celebration. It's almost like a parade. There's music, trumpets. It's this beautiful procession. And this is where David dances before the Lord, and his wife didn't like that. And where he says, I'll become even more undignified than this. And that's because what he's saying is like, I've been overcome by the king. And back in the day, when one king would defeat another king, or I don't know if it was just kings, but when people were defeated, they were paraded through the town or city. So David was saying that the Lord has not beat him, but like he's been overcome by the Lord, and he's putting him on the rightful place as king. And even though he had the title, he knew that the ultimate king was the
Mm-hmm.
Lord. And so in the beginning of Psalm 68, how this links to 2 Samuel is, it says, to the chief musician, a psalm of David, a song, a declaration of worship surrounding divine victory. So this is an awesome celebration for an awesome God. And when you look at him and you see his glory and his beauty, you're going to respond to the measure you see him. So if you're not really seeing him, you're not really going to respond. You can fake it. Don't recommend that. But the more you see him, the greater of response you're going to have for him. And so David saw his awesomeness, and it was this whole city celebration of everyone seeing God's presence and beauty on display. And so we also see that in other aspects or other parts of the Bible where people see the Lord and they fall on their face as though they were dead, or the smoke is filling the room, and then they can't get in and they're falling at his feet. And that's just what happens when we actually see him. So when we see him for who he is, when we see his awesomeness, we will respond. If we aren't worshiping, if we are not responding, we're not looking at him. We're looking at something else, and we're probably distracted, and we're not beholding his awesomeness. So in the Advent season, we get to behold him for who he is and respond in the measure that we see his glory. And we know that that's more dependent on us because he wants to be found by us. He wants us to seek him. And so when we look to him, we're going to see a greater revelation. We're going to have a greater revelation of who he is. And then it's going to cause us to respond if we seek.
Yeah, and when I'm thinking about David responding to the awesomeness of the Lord, he would even later write in Psalms basically sing with a joyful noise to the Lord. And he's talking about how that we would declare your awesome works. And so it's both saying what he does is awesome and who he is awesome. And an analogy that was coming to mind is where we live, mortar fireworks that go up in the air are illegal unless you're at a fireworks show.
Yeah, nothing in the air here.
Yeah, so the whole state. So basically, most of the fireworks you see around 4th of July
Super
are
lame.
like the snakes and the little tanks, or your neighbors.
I like the snakes.
Your neighbors go upstate and they buy technically illegal fireworks and light them off, or whatever.
When there's city sanctioned shows.
Yeah.
So we do get a little bit.
Yeah, and you get that,
but we're not allowed to do it.
So most of those fireworks aren't that cool. But I was reminded of a time I was 10 years old, and we went to this 4th of July party as a family, and there was it was a great day. All American with hot dogs, a destruction derby, snow cones, all sorts of stuff all day. And my older sister is part of the pyrotechnic crew, so she's part of lighting up all the fireworks, setting them up. And I just remember, if you can imagine the scene, it's dark. We're in the country. There's the lights from the racetrack that's kind of off in the distance. And I'm looking up at the starry sky waiting for the fireworks show. And fireworks are going up, and I'm on the hood of a car watching these. But then when the finale went, I remember hearing the mortar fire and then feeling that concussive boom in my chest, and hearing all the car alarm goes off, and my entire peripheral vision was filled with this massive explosion. And it was one of the craziest things I had ever seen regarding fireworks. Maybe as a kid I thought little ones were awesome, but then that was really, in the sense of the word, it was awesome. It was so extreme and over the top. And so when I'm thinking about the Lord and what he does, is there things that are just we have not seen anything like this. It's this large, expansive work that he does. And we just need to be captivated by that. And a caveat with that is I think we need to understand that the giver is always better than the gifts.
Yes.
Because a lot of times I think we are so quick to celebrate all of the benefits of the Lord, but we do so more than celebrating the Lord himself.
Yep.
Because we see that the Lord is awesome.
Yes.
His works are awesome. We should remember his benefits. But victory, healing, strength, and blessing, all of these things, they're fantastic, but they can only be found by beholding him.
Yes.
And so we have to take this Advent season to not just look at the awesome things he does, but to also look past them to himself.
Mm-hmm.
And I think one of the greatest ways to do that, like the Psalms would say, is to sing
Yes.
to the Lord, because
Absolutely.
worship, it magnifies your awareness of God. You can't make God any larger, but you can magnify your perspective of him. And Charles Spurgeon even famously says, we have too much sinning against God, but cannot have too much singing to God.
Yep.
And so the Prince of Preachers would even say, like, man, we sin against God so often, but what we can never have enough of or too much of is singing to him.
Right.
And I really do believe that is because it will put things into perspective. Because the most natural response you have to his awesomeness is worship.
Yep.
Like you were talking about with David. His response was to worship.
Yeah.
To say, I've been overtaken by this awesome king. And we should really be having that kind of a same approach.
Yeah.
And so when we're looking at his awesomeness this Advent season, I guess the challenge would be stir that up first in yourself, but stir that up in your children.
Yes.
Stir up the expectation of looking at the awesomeness of God. And I mean, honestly, like there's traditions we have that are like, we go to a Christmas tree farm, right? Talk about the awesomeness of God and his power to create the world.
Right.
Like if you're going to go, whatever Christmas thing you're going to do,
Let's talk about zoo lights again.
Zoo lights. We always talk about zoo lights, but you can just take that as an opportunity to talk about his awesomeness.
Yeah.
And like, what a perfect way to just make this Christmas season exciting, because like, people love the videos of, I'll just say, I love them. Like when a kid opens up like those old 90s home videos, the kid opens up an N64 for Christmas.
Right.
And he's like going crazy. And it's like, clearly that's an awesome gift for that kid.
Right.
Loves it. Like freaking out. We can build an expectation for beholding Jesus that feels like that.
Yes.
To where we're like, look at how awesome he is. And this isn't dry. This isn't dull. This is living and active. And I have an audience of one.
Yes.
With the awesome God. And so
I think a great way to do this in this season is honestly Christmas music, the Christmas carols. Is that the right word? I know I'm not getting on my soapbox about the top 100 Christian song or worship songs, because a lot of them aren't really about the Lord. So then it's hard for us to respond to his awesomeness when we're primarily singing about ourselves and our struggles or the things that he gives us, rather than actually singing about the Holy One, the worthy one, the awesome one. But Christmas songs, I'm not talking about Frosty, but that's a great song, but that's not what this is about. I'm talking about like, the songs about Jesus that are full of depth and theology, that are Christmas songs, like "Oh Holy Night," "Silent Night," "God Rest Ye Merry Gentlemen." Like, what are some other ones?
Did you say "God Rest You Merry Gentlemen"? Yeah, and then you have like O come, Emmanuel." Yeah, "O come, let us adore him."
Yes, like go and actually like look at those lyrics as you sing them, and you'll be like, maybe you won't be, maybe you already know what they're about. But when I actually like looked at the lyrics and saw the depth and theology, it just caused me to worship the Lord and like, man, just be like, go on this adventure where like, man, I want to know you more. Or it's just when you hear about the Lord, there a hunger develops in you. So let's listen to songs and sing songs that are about the Lord, because that's what's going to make you more hungry for him.
Yeah, and even like "God Rest You Merry Gentlemen" is one of my favorites, and I pulled up the lyrics because I remember this thing that happened with family, like a brother like like they go to church, they love the Lord and all this. And we were watching like The Grinch or something at my brother's house, and
It's got a nice version.
yeah, and it's like the newer Grinch, and they have this like really fast like God rest you merry gentlemen, and it's kind of funny. But his daughter, so my niece, she like loves the song, and she was like singing it, right? And I'm like, dude, do you even know what you're singing? Like this, you're singing about how awesome God is, because it's like God rest you merry gentlemen, let nothing you dismay. Or remember Christ our Savior was born on Christmas Day to save us all from Satan's power when we were gone astray. Oh, tidings of comfort and joy. And I'm just thinking like, just the reality of that put to song and kids can sing it. And then it's like, what an ample opportunity to be like, what does that mean?
Yeah.
Like, let's slow down.
Yes.
And let's talk about this song you love singing. And then it's, because then I loved that song for the way it sounded and just sonically. And then when it hit me, and it just keeps going, when I realized, and I'm like, I'm literally singing about like the destruction of Satan's power and the salvation I have in Jesus through his incarnation. And like it's the 1950s soundtrack to it, you know, and it's like, what a great way to point your kids to the awesomeness of the Lord. And so that's why we've been making these videos. That's why we make this wall calendar, is to really just help rekindle that love and the affections towards Jesus.
Yes.
Because the best thing you can do this Advent season, this Christmas season, is disproportionately focus on him.
Yes.
And just set your sights on him and let him do a work within you.
Amen.
So we have blogs where you can go deeper on all these subjects, and we have a playlist where you can watch all these, or you can check out the wall calendar for yourself.